Hey guys, Palsteron here, and this is a follow-up video to my Shield Charge Ignite build, basically talking about some of the crafts that were on there. There was some confusion as to how to, for example, make the Sceptre. Helmet, I think, is pretty established, but I will still talk about it. We're going to talk about the Amulet, because it's actually possible to make a better Amulet than I have. And then we're also going to talk about how to make jewels like this, because I've had some comments saying these are like 20x jewels. I can assure you they're not, and I will show you how to make them rather easily. And for everything I have here, I will also give a budget alternative. All right, so let's first talk about the Sceptre. Whenever you're crafting and meta crafting, like you will be here, you have to separate prefixes and suffixes and think about them separately. Number one, the prefixes are gain Physis extra lightning, Physis extra fire, and Elementalist extra chaos damage. Now, the physical damage is extra fire damage, and the physical damage is extra lightning damage are very easy to get. The elemental damage is extra chaos is a little bit rougher. We'll do this as we go, but it isn't really important. So I want to point this out. Some people saying this is like a very, very expensive Sceptre just because of that. Just leaving out that one mod already alleviates everything, and this is completely deterministic to make. I will show you how. The third prefix can be a lot of things. It can be physical as extra chaos, it can be elemental damage with attacks, it can be elemental damage with elemental focus if you don't want to have the trigger in there, but it can be a lot of things. The most important part is the physical damage as extra times 2. And just to reiterate, it actually does not matter whether it's cold, lightning, fire. Everything ignites since we have Shaper of Flames, so you have some creativity, some creative freedom here. Now, the website I'm gonna do this with is Craft of Exile. This is a very, very easy website to craft with. I would tell you to go and try some stuff out. Whenever you have something to craft, you can look at it here, you can simulate it, you can calculate how what's the best kind of way to craft it and whatnot. And for this here, we're going to use a Awaken Orb. So what we're simply going to do is we have a Redeemer Sceptre here, and we have a Shaper Sceptre here. Now, what you want to do first is get a Shaper Sceptre. It doesn't have to be 86, it only has to be 85, but what you want to get is the tier 1, either extra lightning, either extra Physis extra lightning or Physis extra cold, which are the two Physis extra mods that you can roll on Shaper. You can roll both. It doesn't matter which one you get, but depending on which one you get, for example, we got Physis extra lightning, we want a Redeemer Sceptre, because that one has the Physis extra cold. You can also go for Physis extra fire. It does not matter, just a combo of the two of them. And now what you do is basically you Awaken Orb it. Now, how you do that on the website, for example, is you Awaken Orb. I actually don't think you have to push it here, right? You just export, generate export data. You go and copy it, and now here on your base, right, the second item you have here, the item level does not matter. But this is the base that we're going to craft on, and we're going to throw a Awaken Orb on here, and we're going to do Awaken, and now we have it together. In this case, we got extra lightning damage, Physis extra cold damage, and our third prefix is pretty much useless, level of lightning spell skill gems. Now, here's where I would say that most people should stop with the prefixes. The third prefix is actually not that important. It's like 4% more damage or something. You have the big ones here, but if you really, really want a third prefix, what you would do is you would basically Awaken your Orb again and again until you hit something good. So that could be, if we're going through this list, there's a ton of good stuff. For example, cold damage is extra chaos damage, fire damage is extra chaos, lightning is extra chaos, elemental damage with attacks here. You can hit some other stuff. So I think that's about it, right? You can also hit the lucky third Physis extra. Sure, you can hit all of those. I don't even have that one. Elementalist extra chaos. All of those are good, but unless you have a ton to spend, I would stop here. But if you want to do it, what you would do is you would basically Awaken Orb until you have a third prefix that's one of those, or you have an open prefix, and then you do prefixes cannot be changed and reroll chaos. If you reroll chaos and you want chaos more common, which is a harvest craft right here, so that would be here, this one, then you would do, then you would want more common, and what you would get is most likely one of these chaos modifiers here, which is still a very, very good third prefix. So yeah, as I said, I would stop here. Don't stress 4% more damage. There's other gear pieces where you can get those 4% more damage, which we're going to talk about in a second, that I don't even have. But now that we're finished the prefixes, let's go to the suffixes. So if you look at the suffixes, we have gain 15% of fizz as extra damage of a random element, which for this build is fine because we're Shaper of Flames, everything ignites. And then we have trigger a socketed spell on using a skill with a 4-second cooldown and 150% more cost. Now, I want to point out here that just the physical as extra of a random element is very, very easy and deterministically to get, but the trigger will require a little bit more currency, but is also able, you can also get that deterministically. All right, so the only trick with the suffixes is that you want the physical as extra of a random element, right? It is the only physical suffix you can get, which means you can get it deterministically with prefixes cannot be changed, and then you reroll physical. Now, this is the common craft. Reroll physical is extremely common. You will get it a lot. So if you find like one harvest, you're probably going to get 2 to 3 of them already. So what you do is prefix cannot be changed, craft that first, and then you do the physical reroll, and now we're going to see what we're going to get. And we got the tier 2. Now, if you want to stop here, if you're on a very tight budget, you stop here with the T2 and you craft on fire.multi. You get 20% fire.multi with crafted. But what we're going to do here, just for completionist's sake, is we're going to reroll until we get tier 1, just so we can go on crafting and get the trigger mod at the end. So now, once again, we do prefixes cannot be changed, and we reroll. And this time we got the tier 1. It was a 1 in 3, pretty easy. Most of the time, you don't get another mod, so it's pretty easy. Now, let's proceed with the trigger socketed gems. Now, since Ashling got changed this patch, and it actually removes a mod before it gives you a mod, it means that it is a little bit more expensive to actually get those crafts. So I would say that if you hit this, you can stop here once again, but if you want to invest more, if you want the trigger mod for the Blade Vortex that swirls around you for combustion, for extra crit procs, right? Then what you do is, once again, you do prefixes cannot be changed. And this time, we are doing Ashling. Now, it removes a mod. We're hoping for it to remove the prefix cannot be changed. It cannot remove any of the prefixes because this one prohibits it from doing that. It can remove this one, so it's a 50-50 chance. So we are hoping that it removes this one. If it doesn't, we have to craft over. So let's do an Iceling Veil. In this case, we got lucky. Now, what happens if you brick this one? All that happens is you reroll fizz again until you get this one, which is, once again, a 1 in 3, and you do this over. So in this case, we got the veiled suffix here. Now, this is the important part. Ever since the changes, the veiled mod does not count as a crafted mod anymore, which means that if you have space, you can actually block something and craft it before unveiling, so you cannot get that. And the one craft with the highest, basically the highest occurrence that you can block is attack speed with quality. So let's see what that is real quick, if I can actually find it. Am I blind? Yeah. So attack speed with quality is the best thing to block before you unveil. Because what attack speed and quality blocks is not only all the other quality modifiers that you don't want, but it also blocks attack speed and blood rage hybrid, which means you just removed a ton of undesirable mods from the pool that you could unveil. And there's 2 mods you're looking for. Number 1 is fire.multi, and then you craft on the socketed yourself, or you hit the socketed and then you craft on the fire.multi. Both are very desirable. If you had anything else, you can also stop, or we're just gonna real quickly see what we're gonna unveil. But most of the time, it should be something good. In this case, we hit it, yeah. So we got the trigger socketed gems. It's very, very, very likely, since we just removed 4 very heavy weighted mods out of the equation. So we can go for the trigger socketed gem here. And now at the end, we can just craft fire.multi. So we remove this one and we go here to fire.multi and craft 18 to 20 fire.multi. We're basically done. You can also get this to 30 quality and you can get it in nice enchant. For example, the one I have here is enchanted with accuracy per quality because this build is very accuracy starved. You can also go for elemental damage, whatever you want. But yeah, that's basically the Sceptre. All right, next up the Emmy. What we were going to look for is physical as extra cold, lightning, or fire. 2 of them combined. And then if we get lucky, we hit life. If we don't, we don't. It is what it is. And then we're also going to craft the suffixes and we're going to try to hit fire.multi, which is what I did not manage to do. I settled on this one. We're going to talk about it. You don't have to hit it, but we're going to talk about how you would theoretically hit it and how you can finish this amulet as something even better than I have here. All right, now onto the amulet craft here. Once again, it doesn't matter whether you have extra lightning, extra cold, extra fire. You just want to get 2 together with an Awakener Orb. And the way we're going to do this is with a Shaper base. Now, once again, I really like my bases to be high just to accidentally stumble into something GG, but you don't have to. You only need 85. So what I do here, for example, this time let's do extra fire on the second one. This is a Warlord base, gain physical as extra fire. Now on Amulets, these mods are extremely easy to roll. On Scepters, it's a little bit more dicey, but on this one here, there's not that many physical rolls to inflate, and you can just spam Jagged Fossils until you hit a T1 here. Do note though, once again, it has to be the only influenced modifier on your item, otherwise your Awakener Orb can brick. So what we're going to do here, for example, is we're going to Awakener Orb those two together. If you want to do it on the website, the way I do it, you have to export the one that you're not going to use, and basically like you would basically Awakener Orb onto your base, your actual base. So we paste that in here, and now we combine it and we awaken here. And we got +1 level to all fire skill gems, which is, for some people, I'm sure, very lucky. For us, it doesn't do anything. But once again, if you want a good third mod here, you will have to probably do this a few times. And eventually, you're going to hit like a big mana roll, which would be good because you can sustain precision a little bit easier. You can hit a big life roll. You can hit elemental damage with tech, whatnot. For this video here, we're not going to go for that, but what I will point out is that if there's no third prefix, what you can do is prefixes cannot be changed. Craft it here. Where is it? Bench. Prefixes cannot be, oh, it's suffix. Prefix cannot be changed here, and then you can do reroll life more common, which is a harvest craft. Now, if you want reroll life more common, that means that your prefixes cannot be changed does protect your prefix that you already have on the item, but it doesn't mean that you can't get a third prefix. So reroll life more common will mean there's a high chance that you actually, in this slot, if this didn't exist, right? So let's pretend this didn't exist. We can actually try it out. It doesn't work all the time, but we do prefixes cannot be changed, just so you know, because it will happen a lot of times that you don't actually have a third prefix. We go to harvest here, we go to reroll plus, which should be the more common, and then we go to life and we reroll, and we're gonna see if we are actually gonna hit it. In this case, we didn't hit anything, we just hit the fire damage to attacks, which is really, really bad, obviously. So in that case, you would just either Awaken Orb again, or you would try to annul whatever you want. But as for this video, the life, like I said, there's other ways to invest more cleverly or more intelligently than screwing around with one prefix, because this could cost you upwards to 10 to 20x to actually fix. So the two most important mods we have here, the Fizz Extra Lightning, Fizz Extra Fire, are here, which is really, really good. So now we're going to proceed with the suffixes. Now what we're looking for in the suffixes is this little mod here, fire.multi 13 to 16, the T1. As you can see, the weighting isn't very high. And the problem with reroll fire is that you can also hit fire resistance, which and also the fire damage, which are quite high in weighting. So if you want to actually hit it, it's going to cost you quite a bit. We just settled basically, but I will still show you how to do it. So once again, we want to protect our prefixes. So we do prefixes cannot be changed. And this time around, we will reroll fire. We don't want reroll plus, we just want the normal reroll this time. And we do reroll fire. This is a very, very common mod. So let's go reroll fire. Never do this without having prefix cannot be changed on. Otherwise, your prefixes will be gone as well. So we're going to reroll. This is a brick. So what you do again is you go to bench and you craft prefix cannot be changed, and you reroll fire again. This time around, we hit fire damage and fire resist. Now, what I will personally tell you is this is a very, very good budget amulet. Extremely good. You have another space to craft. Fire res is relevant. Fire damage is relevant. You actually hit tier 2. So at this point, I would probably stop. I will still continue so you can see some more of the fire.multi. But as for this, this would be my pick for what you should keep here. But okay, we're crazy. Let's do prefixes cannot be changed. Reroll fire again. This time we hit 7 fire damage. Not very good. Prefix cannot be changed. reroll again, and we actually hit it. Okay, so this is quite lucky. I just want to point that out, but we did hit the fire damage over time multiplier. Now this ME is now actually better than the one I have, which is huge. To finish this one off, you can do a few things. Now, I personally, with how rare this mod is and how expensive it would be to recraft, I would probably just block something and slam. So Exalt. But you can also do Iceling. But what I would do here is basically you go to bench, and I think the best you can craft is one of the, so probably Int, right, would be the best to actually brick, and then we're going to Exalt. There it is. Okay. So we just craft any Int on, and now we can actually Exalt Slam, and then we just go ahead and slam it. And we got critical strike chance, which is okay. It's whatever. It makes your elemental overload a little bit more consistent. It makes your tailwind a little bit more consistent. It's not the end of the world. Obviously, you would have wanted to hit like fire res, cold res, lightning res, all res. There's a lot of things you can hit. You can also obviously hit something bad. But basically, you've got your Amulet here. And this Amulet is honestly better than what I have. I do not have the Fire Dot multi because with quality, this goes up to like 19 Fire Dot multi, which would give me like 8 or 9% more damage. Obviously, don't forget to actually quality this item with elemental modifiers. It will enhance this mod, and the Fire Dot multi. Now let's quickly talk about the helmet here. I will not cover this in detail, and the reason is if I had to do this over again, I would probably do it differently, and I will talk a little bit about it. Number one, Blizzard Crowns. If you want high-level Blizzard Crowns, these are very expensive, so if you're on a budget, you do not have to go Blizzard Crown. It looks good, it looks like a lot of damage, but most of our damage actually comes from scaling Fizz, and the cold damage does not scale all the physical as extra from all of these items you just made. So Blizzard Crown, if you have the money, it's like 1.5% more damage to implicit. It's like almost nothing. So if you have the money anyways, you might as well craft on it, but you do not have to. As for the enchant, I took the Hatred enchant, but you have to try this yourself. Everybody has different items. You have a different mana situation. So look if you actually need the Hatred reservation. If you don't need it, you can also go for Shield Charge attack speed, for example. So that would be an option as well. But yeah, other than that, the main stuff here is I used 2 Maven Orbs here. So basically, we fused together the minus fire res and the increased elemental damage taken. I will not go into Maven Orb crafting. This would be too much for this video. If you do not know how this works, I would, for example, check out Elishar's YouTube channel. He does a very, very good job of it. But basically what you do is you slam together the nearby enemies take increased LE damage. The nearby enemies have minus fire res. You take whatever third suffix you can get there. Usually you have some brick or you have some kind of res, whatever. And then you lock the suffixes. And in the prefixes, you do Reforge Fire. And then basically always you're going to hit the physical damage from hits taken as fire damage, which is very, very good defensively. You craft on life, you're done. I will not talk about a mirror to your helmet here. I do not think the helmet is worth the investment. I think it's nice to have some minus fire res, but you can also make these easier if you don't care about the nearby enemies take by just spamming Scorched Fossils on only a Warlord base. You can also do that. You're going to get a lot of res. You can also get dexterity. What you have to understand with the helmet is these are good damage increases, but if you get something like accuracy or resistances to alleviate other spots on your build, you can get the damage elsewhere. So it's not that actually that big of a deal. So that's what I'm going to say about the helmet. If I would have to do this over, I invested way too much into not much. This helmet isn't very good. So I will not give you a super detailed explanation there. Now, how do you make these jewels? Now, I understand that it kind of sparked a little bit of a debate about Ignite, and a lot of people are buying up Ignite gear right now. I get it, okay? I bought these for very, very cheap because nobody played Ignite at the time I made the video, right? But how can you actually make these now that they are a little bit established? I don't want to say really that much, but some people are now thinking about Ignite again, which is really cool. But so how can you make this on a budget? Now, the easiest way to do this is with Fracture. So if you look at this amulet here, if we alt, you will see something that is very obvious, right? So there's 3 different fire modifiers, which is fire damage, burning damage, fire damage over time. These are the GG mods, right? And then you also have life, which is also a GG mod, but it doesn't have the fire tag. So what you do is you actually go and buy a jewel that already has life fractured onto it. So if you reroll it, it can't go away. And then all you do is you spam Scorched Fossils until you have it. And if you spam Scorched Fossils on a base like this, you will basically immediately get stuff like Fire.multi plus burning damage and then some random one. So you can stay with the 3-stat jewel, you can go for the 4-stat jewel for the GG one. You will also get a lot of fire res, which you can also utilize. You will get fire and lightning res. You will get fire and cold res, and these are dirt cheap right now. I'm talking like 5 to 6 for 1 chaos. So this is extremely easy way to make very good jewels. And you can even go GG with this. Now, if you want 7%ers, you will have to pay a little bit more. But this is the easiest and most deterministic way to make jewels like that. But that's it for the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, subscribe. You can also join our community on twitch.tv/Palsteron. If you want to know anything about crafting, you can ask me there live, basically. So I'm on 6 out of 7 days a week. And I hope this crafting video helped you out if you want to do the build or just learn about crafting in general. And since I still don't have a slogan, see you next time.